So, shall we start? Hi there, guys. We're at a new episode, and today we have Robbie Rob and Eddie. Would you like to say hi, guys?
Hey.
Hello.
So, we were just talking about the Olympics, and So, what is this dude? He got fired for comments he made that were...
Originally, it was during the comedy show in the 90s, 98. I believe he said that, and specifically.
Sorry. So I bought a new piece of equipment, right?
Yeah.
That plugs into the receiver with headphones,
Yeah.
so people can actually hear their voices. Because I can probably because it sounds like somebody's like talking to you like this.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So he made some.
No, this was it. You said that women talk
Yep.
too much at meetings, and many female board directors would take a lot of time.
Yep.
That's what I was talking about. He said he was specifically referring to the fact that that women talk too much, and that meetings with many female board directors would take a lot of time, which naturally you'd think would be met with quite a lot of backlash.
But what kind of response was he hoping for, though?
I know. I mean, what were you expecting?
Yeah, I'm also. I don't know. Like, I just don't know who for what audience was he saying that to? Was he saying that to like a private event, or was he like writing that on a shirt and like telling whoever he could hear?
I think the message was conveyed in perhaps a way that could have been slightly more worded in a PC fashion for the 21st century. But
Or he can just keep his opinions to himself and not have to worry about losing his job, I guess, right? Japan is weird that way. Well, so is the US.
Although
now.
his comedy sketch included setting fire to paper dolls.
Okay, now that's a different comment. If it's his comedy sketch, then that's very different than making that like on a public circuit.
Oh no, the women one I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Because I was about to say, now you're criticizing comedians for jokes.
But when you talk about the Olympics, it has been an event that has really unified the world right now in a time where we need it. Because
Has it?
I feel it has. I feel that to see people coming together in a sporting capacity, in spite of COVID, in spite of restrictions, seeing people coming together and winning gold medals for their countries. For example, the Philippines, they won their first ever gold medal at the Olympics. I think first medal period.
In what field?
It was in weightlifting.
In weightlifting, no less.
A female weightlifter.
Yeah, but that's because Russia wasn't allowed to be this year. That's why.
No, Russia. So, fun fact: if you've seen ROC on your screens, it stands for the Russian Olympic Committee, and that stems from the fact that Russia as a nation cannot compete
That's what I'm
in the
saying,
Olympics. So, at first, I thought perhaps
athletes coming in.
Oh, do
Yeah,
they? Oh, just not the country.
They still have their athletes coming in, but they compete under the name ROC, and they are specifically not allowed to have anything that pertains to the word Russia mentioned or appear on any of their uniforms or in the press. So
No national anthem either.
What about USSR? Could they have that on? It's not Russia, guys. It's USSR.
It's totally different.
but how about the
Yugoslavia also competes.
I was watching a highly contentious ping pong match, and it was
that word was never spoken in English, by the way. That's the first time.
Brand new sentence.
highly contentious ping pong game against none other than China and Hong Kong. Imagine that. So Hong Kong have their own participating body, and then the rest of China are China.
I just can't believe they didn't like stab that player. That they actually managed to show up at the event. And he wasn't just thrown down a flight of stairs or something like that.
Has that always been the case of Hong Kong participated on their own?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think they did.
I don't think so.
It seems to make sense that they probably would.
No, Hong Kong always competed in like their own sports. Okay. I'm sure of it.
No, I'm just googling the Olympic history.
Well, keep googling, boy, because there's a lot to search.
Yeah. Another fun fact is the University of Bath. For those viewers outside of the United Kingdom, the University of Bath had 5 alumni that won medals. So if the University of Bath itself appeared on the medals table, it would appear higher than most competing countries. Just the university.
But what do you explain that phenomenon for? They just like
They're just very, very good, a very sporting university.
So do you think they
So at Loughborough, right? Loughborough
Yeah, and Loughborough as well. Yeah.
So yeah.
By the way, Hong Kong has competed in every Olympics since 1952.
There we go. Didn't know that.
Except the 1981 where a number of countries boycotted.
But I think that it only was funded recently, like 18th century, no?
Yep, but they competed as a British colony previously.
On the subject of that, I heard the weirdest conspiracy yet, that world fairs never actually happened, and that they were just propaganda. I don't really realize, like they're like saying like, oh, these newspaper articles that were written in the 18th century are all fake, and they were never in all these states.
That definitely sounds like something that happens in a lot of these conspiracy sites.
Yeah,
Hollow Earth.
That's another one. I mean, I don't understand who sits there and reads it and then goes, I see some logic to this. Yeah, I've dug holes. I understand this concept.
And their excuse is always, you can't disprove it. Prove I'm wrong. How do you prove a negative?
Well, which is the weirdest ones you've heard? We've heard flat Earth.
I've heard Hollow Earth, I think, was a bit weirder.
Hollow Earth.
Well, I think you've got to take into account some of the COVID anti-vaxxers that think that the powers that be are injecting us with
5G chips.
5G chips or something. You know, that has to be said. That's definitely been a product
while they carry their phone in their pocket, that can do exactly the same things that the
that is a very fair point. The way I see I think this applies more to the Middle East, I think, and maybe Asia than it does in Europe and America for now. I see it as an access point of more control. Like with the terrorism that happened, and then suddenly we can't have shoes anymore on while we're going to the airport. And I think that's the same thing that's going to happen. It's just going to create barriers of entry, and just to infringe on individual rights, because you're just going to have vaccine passports. Now, whether or not your passport is real or fake, it doesn't matter. It's just an arbitrary thing. You get what I mean?
Haven't you had a vaccine passport for your childhood inoculations?
But yeah, sure. But I never had it. I never had it presented while I was going to a club or a pub or anything else like that, right?
I think all of a sudden these influencers who thought that they were suggesting that it's a bad idea to get the vaccine have realised that they're going to be unemployed soon if they can't enter any establishment because they have such views. So. Any influencers out there? Get your first jab.
But that's
Get your second if you're over 40.
Well, we'll take that up to a 10, right? Like, let's say it's right now just COVID. But what happens if you have to have a jab every time you have like a winter flu or summer flu, right? And that's then tied financially. Let's say it's like once every 6 months, and it's 100 quid. But you're employed on basis that you have these expenditures. Do you get what I mean? That stuff worries me more than all that kind of conspiracies about like whether or not government tracks you or.
But how about in I feel like, for example, in the Middle East, let's take Abu Dhabi. When you go to Abu Dhabi, if you're this was back in 2020, so last year, if you entered the country, this was when COVID was pretty strong. You were given what is essentially a watch, but it's actually a tracker. It is a tracker for all intents and purposes. You can't take it off, and it's a bit like being under house arrest. But obviously, they're doing that because they wanted to really cull and stop the spread of coronavirus in the Emirate of Abu Dhabi, which is fair enough. I mean, you know, it's a harsh method to use, but effective. And you know, because they did that. Case numbers were very low, but if you can imagine people, you think the Delta variant, which spread like absolute wildfire, if people had to be essentially under house arrest but monitored periodically, essentially they were unable. I mean, you can very easily, for example, leave if you're being tracked on your phone activity. You could leave your phone at home and go for a walk. If you've got a wristband that knows, the technology is there to know if you try to take it off, like if you're under house arrest and you try to cut off your
wrist
anklet,
or whatever, yeah.
You know, you're in trouble. You know, they're gonna call you up and they're gonna say, hang on a minute, why have we sensed this sudden spike in in activities. So I mean,
that stuff actually worries me more, like that normalization of Big Brother. And that, because Amazon warehouse employees already have that, where they have like that wristband tracker that tells them which part of the department they're in, whether they're in the bathroom or not, or break room. That kind of stuff is eerie.
Yeah, I agree with you, Michael. But I think the most important thing here in the UK and London is that it is not exactly, and it's not it's not a legal requirement for everybody to use track and trace. We're encouraged to do so, but it's not legally, but we aren't going to get in trouble for, let's say, deleting the app or not quarantining when we're supposed to be quarantined, because we have people would of course execute, they'd want to assert their right to freedom of movement, freedom of whatever, but to a certain extent, it's been to our detriment. Look at where we are now. We're almost 18 months into the pandemic, and we're still in a pretty bad shape.
To be fair, the daily cases have risen today over yesterday, but compared to last week, we are actually down, which is a positive trend.
Right, and the
general scheme of things.
I think the government were worried because the data suggested huge declines in people, being told to isolate and exposure, but they're worried that that's in part because so many people have deleted the app and decided that they don't want to be.
There was an article today in the BBC which was specifically about, restaurant owners telling their staff to delete the app so they wouldn't be understaffed during this period of time.
But speaking of restaurants, let's talk about restaurants here, and it's nobody's fault. I mean, the hospitality industry has been under a lot of
decimated,
a lot of pressure, but I've booked things months ago. I booked 3 or 4 nice things months and months ago, and out of bad luck or whatever reason, 3 out of the 4 of those nice restaurant bookings have been cancelled due to various coronavirus related issues. For example, I was going to go to a nice hotel in the countryside which has a very nice restaurant, and they sent us a message saying that because somebody had been in contact or somebody had contracted the virus, the whole hotel and restaurant had to shut for at least 10 days, meaning that everybody that had booked to stay or to eat at the restaurant and had been looking forward to it for months, like myself, was told, I'm afraid we can't do anything about it. We can't rebook you because we're fully booked until 2022. And the same thing happened to me today, where a restaurant called me up out of the blue and said, we're deciding to close every Monday in August. It's been a hard decision. Well, that's all very well, but I mean, for somebody that's
moving
been,
your date, yeah.
Exactly. I mean, I'm fed up of having to change my plans and having my plans changed because it's beyond my control. I mean, you make plans, you book a special place, you look forward to it, only to be told, 2 weeks before or a week before sometimes that sorry, but you can't go, and there's no space left.
Especially if you put 20 quid as a down payment already for that table.
Exactly.
It's not specifically the 20 quid. It's always, well, I wanted to go on the Monday. Now I've got to figure out a new schedule, for example. Maybe
I can go on a Sunday, but I don't want to go on a Sunday. I want to go on a Monday.
But who do you think is to blame on this? Is it the Tory policies?
No, this is specifically not. His one was not actually related to track and trace. His was the restaurant just randomly decided to change policy and have a day off on Monday.
Sure, but I mean, this is more of a general problem in the sense of, look how far booked it is. Look at how, like, you have restaurants that are booked out till 2022, right? And then you have also restaurant employees telling them you have to delete the app in order to keep your job because we can't be understaffed. And then you have another separate problem where staff often are. This is more centered around the US, less here in the UK, where minimum income for these jobs have increased so much quicker than the ability for restaurants to afford their staff. So the end point is that the consumer has to pay more in order to afford the same service. We did the math last week ago, where we figured out that an average pub, if they're lucky, makes about 70k a year. Now, 70k a year is not a lot of money, considering that you're stuck running with 4 employees, you have rent to pay, you have a mortgage maybe if you're bought any kind of machinery, anything like that. That's tough. That's really tough. And that's 70K profit, by the way.
Yeah.
They make around 700,000 revenue on average in London.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah.
That's really tough.
That's right. We saw the average weekly turnover was something like £5,000, and on a good day, for example, the way day we went, they were quite happy about making that same sort of turnover on a day.
He claimed it was £5,000, but according to our math, there was no way that was
Yeah, we thought they were close to about
3,000.
Yeah.
Because he's got his prices somewhere wrong, or he's imagining a lot more customers coming in than not, or he's selling credit cards, because there's no way he's hitting
Although
5,000.
to be fair, we could have been quite wrong. We went in at about 7, so they might have had a previous batch of people going through.
But think about it, just basic maths, right? If every person buys a beer, right, which is a $5, right? Let's just
Probably, I'd say people usually buy 2 or 3 beers, right?
But let's say it's just say like buy five for a beer, right? So that means for to make 5,000, you need 1,000 beers, right?
Yeah.
So how many people will realistically drink a portion of that? 3,
Yep.
right? So you're then with 333, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we assumed at best 200 people would have passed through. Yeah, it wasn't a big pub. Specifically.
Yeah, but are people really drinking 6 pints? Like every single person?
Unlikely. We did, but
Yeah, exactly. But
Perhaps during the Euros.
yeah,
right?
but every single person that way? I don't believe it.
Yeah.
I don't believe it.
perhaps during the Euros, as you said, yes.
But I mean, again, Michael, you've been in the Gulf for the last couple of months. Is it hard to get a booking? Is it harder to get a booking in a nice restaurant, for example, at a good hotel? Are they only allowing hotel guests to dine, or is it pretty easy to get a booking? Because here in the UK, I mean, especially in London, some of the restaurants, you need at least 3 months if you really want to go to a nice place to celebrate something. If you can't,
popular one, yeah.
you even a month, you're not going to get availability, or if you get availability, it will be for something like either lunch at 12 or dinner at 4:30.
Yeah.
Well, this is what I meant with government policies and stuff like that, because they have a huge implication on how businesses further on run in restaurants, right? Because they have to anticipate and think about how things might happen and change, and have to pre-plan those kind of decisions. In Bahrain, it was only eat out. You can only eat outside, not inside, which is great when it's summer and it's like 35 degrees in the shade. If you're lucky, like around 12. If it's around 2, you're close to 40. So there's no one eating outside, right? The small restaurants can't afford these outside ACs. Large restaurants can. The large restaurants, however, don't have the necessary, not personnel, but customers who would allow them to keep them afloat. So there was a lot of takeaways and a lot of takeouts. That was about it. It was a big struggle.
Over here, the restaurants tried to adapt by offering the meal kits. Yeah, and the meal kits, for some restaurants, it must be immensely profitable. For example, a steakhouse. You can still probably price your meal kit at £100, get a dinner for 2. And what does the beef probably cost them? Not more than 20 quid.
Yeah, but
much less, right?
But we're talking about Londoners, maybe Birmingham, maybe
yeah.
Liverpool, maybe Manchester.
Maybe big cities, of
Big
course.
cities, yeah. But small cities, they're not going to be able to afford
No, of
that.
course not.
Yeah.
Of course not, yeah.
The village pub ain't going to be able to do it.
Exactly, yeah.
Your local Chinese takeaway ain't going to be able to do
You
that.
can't scale up. You have to hope that your one chef in your village pub will be able to come in and possibly cook for a few people and send it out, or hope that the furlough scheme would have given you enough as a pub owner to make sure to not have to pay your staff, which was the ideal thing. But it doesn't help people who are self-employed, like the pub owner.
We're also forgetting hairdressers.
Oh yeah, hairdressers, of course.
They're all self-employed.
Yeah.
Or contractors.
Of course, yeah. They basically just buy a chair to work at a hair salon.
But I think with hairdressers, the pandemic's given them almost more freedom and to go and see their customers wherever they are, wherever they may be.
That's
and they
illegal,
even,
mate.
That's illegal.
They even no, not
We do not condone this one.
even
They get
now,
fined as well. That's like
now,
£1,000.
Now, if you're a free, you can be a freelance hairdresser. Surely you can cut. For example, not during peak COVID, but now if you're a hairdresser and your client doesn't want to come to the salon, you go to their home. It's legal. It's perfectly legal to do that at the moment.
Yeah, but the question is it worth taking out probably 2 to 3 hours to go to your client's home, and that's 3 hours. You could have had 3 clients at your seats in your barbershop.
But again, right? You go to somewhere in the West Midlands to get just a quick shave. What? That's like 7 quid, 8 quid.
In the West
I was
Midlands,
talking
maybe,
more
yeah.
about.
Not in London. London, you're you're
not
like
under 30,
£12,
yeah.
£13,
I was talking
right?
more about female hairdressing, which takes a lot
right,
longer.
yeah,
where
yeah,
you're
of
where
course,
you're
of course,
actually
yes, that's-
where you're actually there, and you have to spend hours doing the colouring.
That to be fair is quite a possibility, because if you're doing that at your client's home, you're not paying. You may not have to pay your whoever you're buying the seat from. I believe my barber was telling me when he moved to start his own place, they would take 70% of the
Income.
Basically that's what you pay. They charge whatever it was, £45 for a haircut. 70% of that goes to the barber shop.
That's brutal.
30%, exactly. Which is why he thought so much better just to set up and rent. And his specific thing when he hired a new barber, and I thought it was quite high. He was doing 40%, but
So at
40%,
£40, at 70% interest,
70%,
70%,
so 30% take home.
take home. So
Yeah.
so 70% is interest. What he doesn't, he have to.
Yeah.
That's payment. He has to.
Yeah, exactly.
The 40 he
Yeah,
has to
yeah.
give 70 to them,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
That leaves you with £12.
Exactly. yeah. Which is why when
40 quid, mate.
Yeah, which is why when he set up his own place.
Can
he
you
was-
imagine that?
Yeah.
Can you imagine getting 40 quid, crisp 40 quid, hand in your pocket, and then you get to take 12 home?
Yeah.
Hey, why do you think so many of them have enjoyed not having the not having to be tied down to one place?
Yeah.
And
Well,
obviously
Yeah, but
it's-
that's
it's-
travel time and
But-
distance,
But when
mate.
he's talking about like some barbers, or not barbers, sorry, hairdressers for women, like with their full color cut and
That's
wash,
three- that's 300 quid.
350 quid, and that the
And
difference
it's
between
cash.
that,
Yeah,
Cash,
but
cash.
you guys are assuming that women are still doing hair colors and stuff like that. Makeup, for example, is down. Chanel is struggling. Dior is struggling. All of them. Because they're like saying, well, this whole market, people are staying at home. They're not socializing. They're not giving a shit about how they look on their Zoom call. So,
that's true, yeah. That's a good point.
mate, I doubt that. I mean, I haven't heard a hairdresser or barber not crying. I've only heard them
of course,
crying.
of course, yeah,
Not a
because-
single one of them said,
because-
"Yeah, life has been pretty good, mate."
No, of course, they were all self-employed, right? It's for most of them, they didn't get the furlough scheme either.
But think about it. Even if you calculate distance, right? If you're a barber and you're making 12 cut haircut now, yeah?
Yeah.
And I'm now going to you or Robin or whoever, I have to have that travel distance booked
Yeah,
in,
of
right?
course,
That's
yeah.
30 minutes, at least one way, another way 30 minutes.
so
and that's if I have a car.
Exactly. It's even by two, but it's still one haircut will take about 2 hours basically now, instead of your one haircut taking 1 hour.
Yeah, exactly.
not
But
3,
you have
of
to
course.
calculate that into your price then, no?
Exactly. Yeah. Does the extra 38 pounds make up for it?
Yeah, but how quick does a barber earn 40 quid on average? I would say about, what, 30 minutes? How long does a barber shop take? 30 minutes,
An
right?
hour, right? If you're charging 40, I'd say it probably takes an hour, right?
So you say an
Oh,
hour,
yeah.
but you're taking home is 12, remember?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So I would, okay, so let's say an hour. So if
About every 3 hours, he would earn roughly, 40 quid. 3 hours, give or take.
yeah, but I was thinking that, so if you have to calculate 2 hours for a job,
Yeah.
you're coming home, you'd have to book in what, 24 pounds? That would be your
Yeah,
cost
that would be
price, right?
24
Because
hours, yeah.
it's
Yeah,
12
of course,
hours
yeah.
generally.
Yeah.
So if it's a 1 hour haircut, but it takes me 2 hours
Yeah,
to do the haircut,
exactly.
I have to charge Addy
Yeah.
24 quid, right?
Yeah. Or you charge the regular rate, the £40.
That's also a very that's also true. You'd want to charge also a markup on that then, right?
True. Yeah. Of course. You might just charge travel distance separate.
But do you think when barbers are business astute enough to not be like, yo, mate,
No,
I'll come to your house and I'll give you a discount?
I think it's a bit. I
think it's that way. I don't think a lot of barbers are like, yo, mate, I'll pay me 60 quid. I'll come to your house.
Yeah, exactly. No. I think you're right. Otherwise, more of them would be setting up their own barbershops. When my barber was telling me about it, and he was talking about hiring the next barber, he was like, "I'll give him a discount on the usual rate they pay. So instead of taking 70%, he'd take 40 or 50%, and it's still beneficial to him to sell the second chair.
Sure.
But for any other barber he's hiring, for them it's a massive increase, right?
Sure. I mean, you don't also
And
forget.
that's rare.
if you're
that's
traveling barber, a traveling barber, it's like we're going back to the Middle Ages. No, if you're a traveling barber, you'd have to first have that client base set up, right?
Yeah, of course.
In the Middle East, don't large organizations sometimes have their own barbers? They employ people literally for the sole purpose of
Looking fresh.
Exactly.
No, I don't disagree.
Yeah, I think client base is quite easy to do in London. I think a lot of London is, at least in the area we're in right now, so Shoreditch and the East, everyone trusts their barber. You don't cheat on your barber, you cheat on your girlfriend before you cheat on your barber.
I'd have to disagree with that. Strongly.
I'm not saying...
He's already back rowing. He's very quickly going back.
No, it's just a saying, by the way. You know, it's not.
Glad we cleared that one up.
It's not like she's listening. It doesn't matter. It's not like BBC One.
All four viewers.
I can't believe that Emma talked shit about it. Now we're gonna have to talk shit about Emma live.
Yeah, exactly.
With her KFC addiction. Robin is looking out in the distance. He's like, KFC, that would be good.
The zinger burger.
I was just talking to Addy about this earlier. McDonald's have got their new McSpicy or whatever it's called, and I was trying to think, how would that rate versus a zinger burger?
What the hell are you talking about? How does a zinger burger rate to a KFC burger? I don't know, mate. We can do a channel about it. Taste test.
McDonald's.
Yeah, taste
McDonald's
test.
have a new burger called the McSpicy.
We can do that, right? We can blind.
Yeah, we'll buy a McSpicy, and we'll buy 3 McSpicies.
And zinger.
Buy 3 zinger burgers.
See what the difference is.
We'll ask Chris or whoever's at the bar that day to put it on plates separately.
See if we can-
And he will know to single blind. Sorry, it'll be a single
Exactly. Well, a double blind, we'd have to also forget
blind. Yeah, exactly.
which
Yeah.
one is
Sorry,
which.
so it'll be a single blind test, and we'll see which one's better.
Well,
Although we might be able to tell the difference from how the burgers look. So, well, we don't see the burgers, but we know what a zinger.
guys,
burger looks
what's the show called? Unsolved Truths, right? So I think we've got the market down. We're gonna get these burger KFC and.
Show you this video when KFC ran out of chicken. We're watching a video just now about when KFC ran out of chicken.
That is brilliant.
So
KFC
basically-
emergency.
Yeah, basically, in the
See ya.
UK, in a few years ago in the UK, KFC switched delivery distributor to DHL, and DHL
I remember
somehow
this.
messed up.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
For out of the 1,000 odd KFC restaurants across the country, less than 500 had chicken, which is shocking for a chicken chain.
I can't imagine that they couldn't go to Tesco's and Morrison's and buy that chicken as well. They just was like, it's cheaper to close the business down for a week.
Exactly. I mean, they're not paying the what £3 it is for a few chicken breasts, 4 chicken breasts.
I had KFC. Surprisingly, I was in Namibia, and they had KFC down there, and it was very, very different than what you find here. In
no,
the
it's
States.
very different
happens.
everywhere, man.
That happens.
They changed the spice recipe slightly to cater for local tastes.
I heard India as well as
in India, it's much spicier.
I heard people who had KFC in India saying it's not even the same experience. It's not. You can't compare. It's like night and day.
They even have grilled chicken in India.
Oh shit. That's like Nando's already. They're quartering in on that market.
Yeah, exactly. Nando's aren't there yet. So I think Nando's might be there now, but
I was in Delhi craving a beef burger, and lo and behold, beef. You cannot find a beef burger.
Yeah.
in
No,
Delhi
I'm
because
sure you can.
they used
I'm
to,
sure
but
you
no,
can,
it's got a
but
lot
now-
worse. What they've done now is sort of cornered the market with buffalo meat, which tastes similar to beef but a lot leaner.
Really? Is it? I thought buffalo would be fatter.
No, buffalo meat for
Or at
some
least
reason
richer.
is much leaner. Yeah,
But yeah,
the milk is fatter. Yeah.
I went several years ago, and I was fascinated by it. So I was asking, I was like, so you genuinely can't find a beef burger?
Funnily enough, a few years ago there was one restaurant in a 5-star hotel that actually imported A5 Kobe,
Oh right.
and that was
And they were burned
only,
down.
That was the only beef you
Yeah,
could
the
really.
only
survived. Good for them.
I'm guessing just basically they didn't have enough clientele, or they didn't advertise it well enough. It was just sort of vaguely known. to.
But a lot of chefs make that mistake, sadly. I mean, first of all, we have on our podcast a trained chef, Addy here. But I feel that a lot of chefs make that mistake in that they get really high quality ingredients, they overstock without realizing how much they're going to go through. Because realistically,
that's always there. I mean, that's your first few months. In fact, is you have to consider it a loss. You always when you get it in, you're going to have to over order, because under ordering's a lot worse.
If under ordering, you just say it's not on the menu, right?
Yeah, but that can get worse and worse, because at the point you might not be able to find a supplier that will come to you tomorrow. You might have bought for the week or for the next 3 days, for example, and then now you're gonna have to tell your distributor.
I reckon
it's something fast.
It's a sales pitch as well, because I think it's a built-in model where they say that the fish is actually sold out in order to insinuate right scarcity.
Yeah.
And
that's
devious.
It's a devious idea, but I'm not sure it'll work, because the bad side of it might be your customer will go and say, "Oh, don't bother going there. They never have anything."
Yeah, okay, but that's to the other extreme. Like, how many restaurants have you gone to in the past that they didn't have that fish that you wanted? Plenty of times for me.
Yeah, I agree with that.
The daily specials, but a lot of them build it around that scarcity. But for example, let's say Goodman's that we do actually like going to, their specials board is their special board, and you're okay with it if you've come in late and they don't have their special of the day left, that's fine. But they still always have your usual steak on the menu. That 300 gram sirloin, it's always there.
The base.
Exactly, and that's the issue with the first few months of restaurants. When you create your basic menu, unless you're doing a sort of concept restaurant where all you do is you get your suppliers to provide you with only their specials of the day. Even with that, you need to see when you're setting up, you don't really know how many reservations you're going to get on the day, but you take in some sort of leeway. But in most of those, you want to pre-book it.
But you also get your staff to also push products that are not selling, right? Or as much.
That's always there.
Yeah, I mean, so for the audience who doesn't know, if you're pissed off at a restaurant, like really pissed off, and you want to get something back at them, get the most expensive wine, because they don't earn anything on the most expensive wine.
We actually walked past, we thought it was a club at first. It was called FYEO or something like that. And we just saw a massive line, and there were a bunch of people completely glammed up, like your typical club-going audience in the higher end club. Yeah, and they were all there, and then we found out later it's a strip club, which was strange, because there were an awful lot of women in that line waiting. Yeah, to get
but
in.
Women love going to strip clubs.
Yeah,
they love it. They love it because they're like one of the guys, going out.
Yeah. But yeah,
well, you were saying on their menu they had
we had
a
to
very
look at the menus.
exclusive.
Yeah, we had to look at the menu as well for drinks, and the cheapest drink for a double shot, a 50 ml serving, was £8. The most expensive, that was whiskey. So
that's club prices though.
A Jameson, yeah, that's expensive. But you go for the more expensive ones, a Nicker from the barrel, that was only 13 for a double. And
because they don't make margins on that.
Exactly, yeah, that one they don't make margins. And the worst one we saw was Remy Martin, Louis the 13th. Sorry, Louis the 14th. My apology. And was it 13 or 14? It's 13. Sorry. Yes, and basically, if you were to buy a single shot of it, that's £120 a shot. If you were to buy the bottle, $26.50 or something around there, which is about what you buy at retail.
Yeah.
In fact, it might be a little bit cheaper than I've seen in most retail shops.
Yeah, it is fascinating on how that duality exists, because
you're not getting it cheaper. Most of these places do not get such a significant discount unless it's a cheaper bottle of wine.
Well, I mean, they can't go. There's a minimum price anyways in the UK. Even if you wanted to say, right, we're not going to make any profit because we're going to increase the foot traffic.
Yep, that's been a fairly recent law, because I remember going to a wine shop when I was buying for a society, and the guy at the shop said, "Oh, our parent company bought a ton of wine and we can't move it at all. If you buy all of what we've got in stock, I'll give it to you for," I think he sold it for £4 a bottle. And it wasn't bad wine. It was just whatever they priced it at was.
Well, I knew
worth it.
I knew a place in Worcestershire that sold a pint a pound. Pint a pound.
We've been.
But those are members only, or
we've been to
things.
In Edinburgh. There was a pub near the uni that on
student night.
Monday to Thursday, I'm pretty sure. If you had a student card, pints were £1.50. This was in peak Edinburgh, just off the Royal Mile.
I think I don't know what the minimum price is set by the UK, but I think it's around £1.50 something, something.
Yeah.
I don't think it's quite
I
two.
don't think it might. I'm not sure if it's there anymore. Robin's going.
He can check it out.
I'll be able to tell you.
Yeah. Does anyone have a student card? Is it a Monday? Is it a Thursday?
I'm going back to my beloved Edinburgh for the first week of the Fringe, and I don't know how it's going to be this year because it's going to be a very different Fringe. Usually there are thousands and thousands of international people that descend upon Edinburgh. This year it's scaled back. It's still going ahead, which is great. Some of the shows are going to be in person. Some of them are going to be online. A lot of tickets. I don't think they're going to sell as many tickets, but Edinburgh, in the month of August, Edinburgh is full of people from all over the world. This year I think it's going to be a far more national crowd coming from all corners of the UK to try and see the Fringe. I don't think you're going to see as many people travelling in because it's hard. I think there are certain restrictions in place to coming in, and a lot of the theatre troupes or acts that would usually come in aren't able to fly or travel. Having said that, the infamous Ladyboys of Bangkok are back for their 35th year. I might have booked tickets, but
if anyone wants to go with Robin, send us a message on Twitter, and we'll try to organize something.
But I believe they tour most of the UK, so they're probably here most of the year anyway. But
Robin's a paid up gold member. He goes every week.
Contrary to popular opinion, it will be my first time.
First time in public, he means.
And there's a show, RuPaul's Drag Race. I don't know if you've seen it, Michael or Addy. It's been very popular on Netflix, highly watched over the pandemic. And I think a lot of people have now interested at least to see what it might be like. So I thought, you know what, why not give it a go? It's supposed to be one of the highest rated shows in the Fringe.
Yeah, but are you going because of your missus?
Be
honest now.
I'm going.
Be honest.
I'm going out of curiosity myself, but also I'm going with somebody. So
who's not his missus?
So I thought it'd be a fun experience because you have to. There's going to be reduced tickets. And I was looking, and actually, usually it takes hours and hours and hours to trawl through the A to Z of shows, what's on at the International Fringe Festival. This year it didn't take me so long, and I read a couple of reviews, and they said one of the ones to go and watch is this particular show. And
who told you this?
Well, there's several reviews. several.
Their sales agent.
several reviews in some of the most respected newspapers, not only in Scotland but in the UK.
Daily Mail. Yo, what you want? A beer? Yo, Chris, can we order something booze-wise? What do you two boys want?
Do you have any Peronis? Yeah, we got. Yes, I'll have a Peroni, please.
I don't want another Asperger's. What do I want?
Also Peroni?
Yeah, Peroni.
Can I get a glass of white wine?
Can we do 2 Peronis and a glass of white wine, please?
Yeah, why not? Thanks, mate.
Perfect, so, yes.
I told myself I wouldn't drink that much this week, but it's Thursday night,
so
anything goes.
Out, yeah. Forget that.
We speaking of Edinburgh, in the Fringe, specifically, most student housing is only a 9 or 10 month, it's a 10 or 11 month contract, essentially. So for most students, that's slightly better because you don't pay the full year while you're away on holiday, except...
Sorry for the guys who couldn't see that because we don't have a camera yet. That was brilliant. I bought 3 tripods so I can put my DSLR in 2 cameras.
Oh, sorry.
Oh well, who do we have here? Hey guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry. Yes, sorry, dog walked in. But yeah, so in Edinburgh, essentially, most landlords ask you to vacate the property by August, and they rent out the property to fringe performers. The funny thing, though, you'll see is usually that when you're there, if you visit your flat in August, your bedroom will be filled. Instead of having 1 bed there, there'll probably be like 12 single beds.
Yeah, with a bunch of foreigners.
Exactly.
Bloody hell.
Well, yeah.
So it's very typical to get a standard 9-month lease from January through till July or whatever, or 9 months of the year. And you getting a 12-month contract is pretty difficult because everybody wants to make huge amounts of profit in the 1 month of the year, which is August.
So what do you think happened to all those people who are in one of these like university towns who bought property and thought, right, in 10, maybe 15 years,
Thank you.
it's going to come all back in, and now suddenly they're 2 years maybe out of income because they're struggling to meet demand, or at least for 1 year. Because
for a lot of universities, Edinburgh University actually, funnily enough, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not sure it was Edinburgh, but I think they actually asked students to come in just in case, so they had to stay on the on campus. In spite of everything being bad, they were. Thank you, Chris. They weren't allowed out of their rooms, or possibly out of their rooms. They were allowed in their flat units, but they weren't. Oh, there's been cases where they weren't allowed out of their rooms.
Honestly, there was some students that were locked up in their dormitories.
If you had COVID, you couldn't even leave your room. And they would send food just outside the door. Except if you had a meal requirement, they often wouldn't check. So I think there was one case where the girl, she was Muslim, and she asked for, and the lunch was a sandwich, so a halal meal. The sandwich she got was a ham sandwich.
Brilliant. Tasted delicious. Cheers, by the way, boys.
Happy Thursday, everybody.
Oh. Telling you, dude, isn't it fun doing that podcast stuff?
Yeah, it is. But essentially Edinburgh just made you stay there, and a lot of unis just made you pay for it regardless.
So one of the things that I noticed this year is that, and this is probably an indication that the fringe will be less international this year because there's less people able to come and travel, is the prices are still significantly increased, but instead of tenfold, they're like, for example, fourfold or threefold. Yeah. So what would usually be typically in the down season would cost like Edinburgh is a fantastic city for those who haven't been, and very affordable. It's just most of the time it's just the month of August when the festival's there that the prices significantly increase. Not just food and alcohol, but especially accommodation. Far and few between Airbnbs that are out there. You can get Airbnbs that cost $1,000 a night plus. They would usually be, but these are very nice properties, but would usually be 200-300.
Even your worst properties that are sort of in the middle of bumfuck nowhere,
you're going to get for £200 a night.
Yeah, exactly.
And so these are these Airbnb properties that used to be student accommodations, or
these
Airbnb
may have
properties?
been student properties, but they may just be people renting out their own homes while they're away on holiday.
There was almost like wasn't the UK almost had like a ban on traveling, or the traveling was so low, so who's renting out these places? No one.
Oh, not this year. Yeah, this is.
I'm talking about like a perspective of a year, right? If you got a mortgage, you still have to make payments on that mortgage, right? Yeah. And then if for example, if you're a cab driver, you own a house, you're double screwed.
No, a lot of people did. A lot of banks did mortgage freezes, didn't they?
They did mortgage refusals. Oh, freezes.
Yeah, so payment freezes for a period of time. If you could prove you couldn't pay, then that's. But yes, as you said, cab drivers double screwed because a lot of gig economy workers did not get their.
So I heard what you. So I was talking to a cab driver, and he was telling me about this mortgage freeze.
Yeah.
And he said that he was locked in at an interest rate of around, I want to say 3 or 4%. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Not amazing.
That's
pretty
about
good.
Standard. Yeah.
And he was telling me that the bank said we would be willing to freeze the mortgage for I think somewhere like between 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
However, the interest rate would go from whatever it was 4, 6 to almost 9.
Oof. Wow.
Yeah.
And
That's what you call a variable rate.
I guess so, yeah.
I mean,
well, that was not even variable rate because that's not market variability.
yeah,
that's
it's a
just
solid 8% above market.
exactly. So he was saying it was unbelievable.
And they're sort of locked in. You can't not.
Pay. Well, you can sell the property if you're lucky and try to buy yourself out, or you can.
Yeah.
I don't know. In the UK, you can't declare bankruptcy on private on.
I'm not sure.
No, I don't think so. I don't think you can declare privacy on yourself, like in the US.
No, I don't think you can. At least I've never really seen it being done.
I believe it's American. It's an American thing.
Well, you can declare bankruptcy here in the UK if you're a company owner.
Oh yeah, of course.
But I think you still have to have some sort of payments that have to then be readjusted. I don't think it's as simple as in the US. Robin is out of his water, out of his depth.
No, I'm just thinking. I'm thinking if I can give any examples of anybody in this country personally declaring bankruptcy publicly, and I can't think of any.
What do you think? There's like a shame factor?
No, I'm just trying to think
legally.
of if it's as big a thing here as it is in the US, because you hear it often in the US. They call it filing for bankruptcy. I've not heard that much in the media here in the UK.
Well, there's a lot of different
Apart from
formats.
companies, yes, but individuals.
There's a lot of different formats of bankruptcy in general.
Just checking now.
You can file for like Action 11 or whatever it's called. There's a whole bunch of different things you can do. 11 chapter is the most common one. That's what people got so upset with Trump, saying that he.
You can possibly do it if you have owned a business in the previous 3 years, but you need to be something like a solicitor, accountant, estate agent. But remember, a lot of these people just incorporate themselves for tax reasons. So they would be an organization as seen through the eyes of the law.
Well, we have such an odd fascination about owning property in general. I think if you're looking on just making an ROI, you're better off buying an art like Andy Warhol or anything like that, because that typically it beats footsie.
Yeah.
It even beats general ETFs.
Yeah. Of course, there you need a bigger barrier to entry, whereas
Is
with
it
a lot
though?
of homes,
It's 80K.
yeah, but you're going to get a loan and you only have to put an 8K, right? If you had a house that you were looking to buy there. For a lot of people here who'd be buying outside of London, right? A lot of homes, once you get further north, they may not even be that 200. They may not be more than 200, 300K. So you'd only have to put up 20, 30K.
I'm sure you can get a loan. I don't think it would be considered a mortgage.
Yeah.
I think the percentage would be definitely higher than 4 or 6.
Yeah, you can always find a predatory lender, right?
I don't even go that far. With 30% or something ridiculous like that. But I think you.
All right, geezer, I can get you a banging deal.
Yeah. It's 30.
Sam Allardyce.
Yeah, 30% a year, mate.
You're unemployed, even better.
30%, I think they'd be happy with that. They'd be like, yeah, mate, 600%.
Jesus Christ.
In all seriousness,
That's what
there was
payday loans are, aren't
But
payday
if
loans
it's-
are like 120% or something.
If that's the
like that.
case, if some loan shark got you like, I mean, at that point, I mean, that's extortion. You should just get into your van, take your family, and fucking drive north.
live in a caravan.
Get out of there.
Hey, Olympic athletes do it, you know.
Get out of there. Get out of there as quickly as you can.
But I mean, we talked a lot about the move away from urban centers in 2020. So in the States, people were moving out of cities like New York and moving upstate.
Yeah.
People were going to where there, for example, Austin, Texas, big tech hub. People have lots of stuff going on there.
Absolutely.
People have moved there. You know, places like San Diego, places like.
Addie's showing me something currently.
It's specifically the payday loans sort of interest rate.
For 3 to 12 months, it's thriving, with some lenders charging well over 1,000%, frequently on the lowest income and unable to borrow from traditional banks. I don't know what the word traditional banks mean.
Anyone, someone.
No,
you can
but wouldn't it
trust.
just be banks? Why do you have to put like...
This is your mate.
Yeah. Oh, traditional banks, yeah.
Traditional banks would be like your old ones, I think. Non-traditional banks would be these payday loans.
That's what I'm saying. Why would you... They're not banks, though. They're loan sharks. Yeah, well, depends on the law, my ass. I can't just start a bank.
You can say you're a bank, right?
I can't even say that. I'm sure you'd get prosecuted if I just say I'm a bank.
You're not FDA approved, but you're happy to steal someone's money. You're not FDA, sorry. You're FCA.
Travel by court and then you
You're not FCA approved. You just steal money. You don't offer them any sort of protection, but you somehow promise 12%
Yeah, you offer
interest rate.
Yeah, those guys offer protection as well, but on a higher interest.
No, as in if you keep your money in a traditional bank here, I believe you're covered up to 65K or something like that.
On the subject of ridiculous stuff, have you guys seen the Stoic app?
Can't say I have. Stoic.
It's a trading bot that deals with cryptocurrency, and the buy-in is $1,000, and they promise returns of up to 1,000%.
You've got to have a very smart AI to be able to trade in that way.
I've looked through the reviews. I've done like good background research, and I haven't seen anyone come out positive. I've just heard people saying, "Hey, I put $1,000 in, I lost $1,000."
So, full disclosure, none of us are offering any financial advice here, and take what we say
Absolutely.
But we
pure-
may just say, probably don't invest in Stoic.
Yeah, I would go as far as a limb to say, if you're not
You might get better return on your money by just
Play
buying
it safe.
drugs. Yeah, just
Play it safe.
buy drugs, and you probably at least you're happier instead of giving money to someone and getting nothing out of it. In this case, at least you have a good time.
yeah. Go buy an Andy Warhol. That's my recommendation. That's my financial recommendation.
you could buy an NFT version of an Andy Warhol, even better.
Yeah, that's we had this discussion on the last podcast on NFTs.
Sub-Zero.
By the way, I was not here for the last podcast. Extreme.
Well, it's not my fault you didn't listen in, man.
Sweet serendipity.
Yeah, exactly. So what's your opinion on the NFT business?
I think that it's for now. It's going to be a very interesting few years. I'm personally of the opinion it's a bit smoke and mirrors. I'd much rather personally own an actual physical object than a bunch of hashes and code on a system that gives me the right to own something.
And you have no guarantee if that NFT company, the one that verifies it, as there are multiple companies, if I'm not wrong, if that one goes bankrupt or just randomly shutters, you have no way of proving.
Well, this is the interesting thing. The weirdest thing I've heard of NFTs as a comparison to was as IP.
Yeah.
And I don't understand that concept. I don't understand how you can have a physical painting and then say you earn a digital copyright of it. So wait.
Yeah, like what if you buy the Mona Lisa's digital copyright? What does that exactly entitle you to?
I think
you stop anyone using it as a meme, no, you just say you own it and that's it. You don't have copyright of it, right? You can't charge anyone for using it.
I believe that blockchain is here to
That's
stay.
such a marketing word, blockchain.
Of course.
No one knows what it really does or really is, except a handful of people who actually know to use it.
We've got a friend, and we won't mention him by name just in case, but he has a blockchain-based startup, and he will not. He said he didn't even need to use it for his company. He just basically used it because people invest in blockchain.
Yeah. It's a buzzword.
It is a big buzzword, and you'll see it. It will supposedly it's going to revolutionize the banking system and cut out lots of middlemen and
It's going to cut out red tape. That's what's going to cut out.
It will do. It will
because it's harder to track that financial transactions and movements. That's why. Oh shit! It's already that late. Well,
Time
guys,
flies when you're having fun.
Absolutely, it's been an absolute pleasure, and we'll have these two on, possibly later tonight or not. We'll see.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Perfect.
Thanks so much, guys, and it's a pleasure.
Thanks.
Pleasure being here. Thank you,
My
Michael.
pleasure.